If anyone uses Slack, you're probably aware there's a Slack outage this morning that has made coordinating across the host and panelists and everything else very difficult, but I think we are getting it together here. So apologies for the late start. We have one more panelist who is joining us. So while we're waiting for him to be able to drop in and get all the permissions that he needs, I'll just go through our regular housekeeping that we normally do here. So thank you for joining us. We host one of these webinars every month. We invite our partners to join to be able to share the great insights they have and bring additional benefits to your business. This month we have Freddie and Adam here from AMZHIT. Adam, you missed the part where I said we're all having technical issues this morning. So not just you. We should be good to go now. I think we're on track. So just giving a quick intro, and then I will throw it over to you guys to introduce yourselves as well, and we'll hit the ground running. But just some quick housekeeping that we normally do here. You should see as an attendee both chat and Q&A. Chat is where we would love for you to drop your messages, tell us how we're doing, tell us if you can't hear us or can't see us, so if we're experiencing any more of those technical issues we've already started out with. Q&A is where we want you to drop your questions. So if you have any questions, please put those in the Q&A. That way we don't lose them in all of the chatter that's going on in the chat. We will generally leave Q&A until the end, but if somebody drops in a question that is really topical and specific to something we're talking about, we'll go ahead and answer it in the conversation. That way we just don't lose the train of thought and we make sure we get everyone answered. And that is about it. Today we are here to talk about expansion in Latin America, big focus on Mexico and also specifically Mercado Libre as well. I think most of you joining us today are probably very familiar with Amazon and familiar with Amazon in the US. And so this is just taking things to that next level. And I am pretty much going to stop talking about that now because I am not the expert in that area. I will introduce our experts and throw it over to those guys. So Freddie, you are already off mute, so I will let you introduce yourself first. And then if you want to queue up Adam, that would be great.
Okay, lovely, Jessica. Thank you for having us. Okay, me and Adam, we run AMZHIT, and Capybara is a spin-off of that agency. We have been more than 10 years already running brands on Amazon US, but as I'm from Argentina and Adam is from US but living in Mexico, every time that we meet Amazon people just ask me, hey, how can we get into Mexico? How can we get into Latin America? It's like an undiscovered place, and it's growing a lot. So we start thinking, okay, how can we start working on this? And we started grabbing contacts and people. Amazon hear us out. So now we have a clear path in order to launch brands from US to Mexico. Amazon is probably the first place, as we are Amazon experts, so we can see clearly the amount of sales and the competition and the tricks from Amazon. But then you have Mercado Libre, which is pretty much as big as Amazon in Mexico. So we manage that too. In overall, we could do like 10% of what Amazon sales is doing, about 5 and 8 in Amazon and 3 and 5 from Mercado Libre. So it's a great opportunity. We're going to be providing more data about why is that powerful opportunity to jump in right now. But I'm going to let Adam to introduce himself.
Yeah, hello everybody. I've been on Amazon since 2016, managed several brands, co-founded an ads agency back in early 2018. And ever since then, I've worked with probably a couple hundred brands now, dealing with launches and brand management and lots of PPC. And then Freddie and I were able to stay in touch over the past 9 years. We met at our first Amazon conference, Amazing Selling Machine, back in 2016. And ever since then, we've watched each other grow our agencies. And then we decided to team up this past year. And this past year, we decided to say, hey, Mexico is a growing market, right? And it's the fastest growing market right now for Amazon. So right now, it's a great opportunity to to bring people down. So we decided to team up, having a fully bilingual team, and ready to share some nuggets and some strategies today for all the attendees and the listeners as well.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for joining us. Really excited for this topic. This is an area that I think is of particular interest to a lot of the brands that AO2 works with, but generally the wider e-commerce audience. And especially right now, there's a lot of discussion going on about what's going on with US and Mexico trade, US and Latin America in general. So lots of stuff we want to dig into. Before we officially kick off the discussion, I'd love to launch a couple of polls just to kind of find out from the audience today what the familiarity is with Latin America and where they are in terms of selling in that area. So I think we've got 2 polls. We'll launch them back to back. Let's go ahead and get that first poll up and find out here who is already selling in Mexico, or maybe in the greater Latin America market, if you want to kind of speak more generally as well. Go ahead and get those answered. We usually leave the polls up for about 30 seconds to give everybody time to chime in. So far, across the board, 100% unanimously, everyone who has answered from the attendees is not yet selling in the market, but is interested. So this is perfect, exactly what we're looking for today. Go ahead and wrap this one up, and then we'll launch the second poll again, just to get a little bit more information, make sure we're guiding the conversation today in the right direction. So this one is a little bit more specific about Mercado Libre. As Freddie mentioned, we're talking Amazon, but we're also talking about other marketplaces in Latin America. And again, very similar results, 100% across the board. Everyone who has responded here is letting us know that they have not started selling, or familiar, but they have not started selling. We have one respondent who has said they are selling. So pretty much though unanimously, we can go ahead and close out this poll as well. Mercado Libre is going to be pretty new to our attendees today. So they're familiar with the platform, but maybe don't know the nuances, aren't selling there yet. So if we can kind of make sure we're curating to that. But I think that gives us enough information to get started. So again, thank you guys for joining us. Let's kind of dive in. And I don't know if we want to talk about the elephant in the room first and all of the tariffs and the barriers to getting into Mexico, scare people a little bit, and then tell them why it's all going to be okay and how they can get launched, wherever you guys want to start.
Yeah, I'll start with the tariffs, and feel free to chime on in there, Freddie. With the tariffs, I mean, as of right now, it was promised it was going to be enacted day one. It's going to be enacted. Another extension. I've been reading the news about it every day. It was either this past Monday or the following Monday that the Mexico team and the U.S. team are going to start negotiating at the White House in Washington. And it's pretty much a negotiating tactic right now. But really, I mean, it's a 25% tariff into the U.S. For your cost of goods sold. So a lot of people are like, oh, here's my retail price. A lot of people don't know that it's on your cost of goods. So that's first thing. You're going to have a little price increase, but it's not like you're going from $20 to $25. Maybe if your cost of goods is $4, 25% there, you're going to go up to like $5, an extra dollar tariff per unit. So first off there, you got to know what it's going to hit. It's going to hit your cost of goods sold with your manufacturing. You're going to submit your receipts. So that's the first thing.
And that's specific if you're manufacturing in Mexico and bringing it here, which is probably a very small part of who we're talking about today. But
and then also too, now coming into Mexico, it all depends on the niche. And that's where Freddie and myself and our partners come in, is that depending on the niche, where you're going to get hit at, it depends a little bit on where it's manufactured and what the product is. For one prime example is finished textiles. Shein, Temu, over these past 2, 3, 4 years have really hit the Mexican market hard with textiles. So the Mexican textile industry which was pretty thriving for a very long time, these past couple of years, it's been hit pretty hard from Shein and Temu and so forth, and getting in. Mexico closed the barrier to get things in under a certain price to hit that. December 20th, 21st, 35% tariff on finished textiles coming into Mexico. But Mexicans are used to technology and textiles being a little bit more expensive in Mexico already. It's already a common theme. So with that, it's not something that people are like alarmed by. We don't have Ross just for less down here. We don't have, similar like, discount. People are used to it. It's quite common to deal with textiles a little bit more expensive. So with that being said, and going back to the tariffs, who knows if they're going to get enacted? And if they are, adjust your budget, your business accordingly. And some of the talking points that Freddie and I are going to go over today is that maybe if you have a tariff in your niche coming into Mexico, you're going to be able to make up for it with lower FBA fees, less storage costs with Amazon FBA in Mexico as well, lower cost per click, less competition. So you're going to be able to make up for that. So it's not like, oh, all the fees are the same as the US. No, it's going to come in, and we have some examples later on. So that don't be alarmed there. It's doable. You can run your business, and probably the people that we're talking to today, you're already great operators in your business. So you know where to find and improve costs, where to improve your performance for your brand as well. Freddie, anything additional there?
Yeah, actually, the tariff, sometimes we're thinking more for selling into US, right? But Mexico always have some tariff, and it depends on where it's coming from, the product. So at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything on Mexico side, on selling on Mexico, the US tariff, unless it is a product manufactured in US. It might be not entered for free anymore. They might need to pay like 5 or 10% regarding the category that they are. But every product and every niche is different. If you have ever run into HS codes, you know how specific they can go, depending on the type of material, the weight, the size, or whatever. So the help that we are providing with ARAM is, okay, we understand that navigating into that in Latin America is especially difficult, because I don't know why we make things especially difficult in Latin America. Being as a Latin American guy, I can say it. As an accountant, I can say that. So let us help you. Just providing us the product or the brand, we can run the numbers, so we can check if there is a decent amount of searches, so we can estimate the amount of sales, and then we run it through our partners, which are actually Amazon partners. Amazon has given us a list of their vetted partners who are going to be working with the brand that contact us, or whoever is our client, in order to have a better pricing and a better service. We don't do the importing into US. We don't do the shipping. We don't do the taxes, because that's not what we do. But we have the top companies doing that for a super decent pricing. So we talk to them, we pitch them, we send them the products. They see, they're gonna check the HS code, and we can do a P&L to know exactly the profit of every each of the product. So if we add the profit and we add the amount of sales, then we have a business on the table in order to see if it is useful or if it's interesting for the brand.
Yeah, and what Freddie just said, we will be sharing towards the end of the webinar. That'll be the last thing and the takeaway. We will share contact information so that you guys can take advantage of that free audit, because as we'll talk about more, I'm sure throughout this, expansion into Latin America is not going to be something that's necessarily a fit for every single brand. So we don't want to pitch you on something that's not going to be great for you. We want to inform you about what it looks like to expand, what you should expect in terms of barriers or opportunities. But then we also want to make sure that that if you decide that you're interested in this, that it is something that is a fit for your brand. So Freddie and Adam are going to offer a free audit to kind of just see if your brand meets those expectations of what would make you successful. And they'll let you know honestly, yes or no, and then we can move forward. So just stay tuned for that. We will share all of that contact information and make sure you have that to take away before the end of our event.
Yeah, and to go ahead and to introduce you, a lot of the listeners also to what type of marketplace you're getting into with Mexico is first off, close to 130 million people. As of I checked this morning, like 129.7 million people. So right there, you're already going into quite a good market size. 2024, e-commerce counted for 97 billion. This past year, 40% year over year growth. So I've been down here for 12 years now. And in Mexico, when I first got here, Amazon and Mercado Libre were really not, quite popular. Deliveries were slow, and also too, brick and mortar was very alive and healthy. You didn't start to see the closings like you did in the States 10 or 12 years ago. When I got here, they were still building malls and shopping centers and still quite alive. But the pandemic really introduced a lot of people, I guess, forced their hand, and they got used to it, and they got used to buying things online. And then another thing that's really helpful is that in customer service in Latin America, in a lot of places, it's non-existent. It's too bad. It's unfortunate. So Amazon comes in, and their customer service is fantastic, and people are introduced to this great buying experience and how helpful it is. So that is helping out a ton. And then this past year, market research showed that e-commerce is penetrating the market about 77%. We have 63 million e-commerce shoppers every single month as well. And then 78% of all internet users in Mexico this past year made at least one online purchase. So things are really, really growing. We have a large market size. It's close. And if some of you sellers remember back when Amazon were reaching out back in 2016, 2017, 18, 19, getting people over to Europe, we have now been able to team up with an Amazon team, the Amazon Latin American expansion team with Amazon. Thanks. And with that, we're able to get in there. So Freddie, tell us about how we've teamed up and how we can provide value for everybody on the call today.
Yeah, I wanted to add, Adam, that since COVID, people were forced to purchase online. I don't think it was a cultural behavior to purchase online. People just prefer to go to the store, hang out in the shop and bring the stuff. So since COVID, people were forced to purchase online, and the penetration, I mean, the amount of people that jump into the online world is massive. We're talking about Mexico is the fastest growing market in Amazon. It's a deal already since 2020. 2020 is hitting between 25 and 40% year over year, constantly growing, and it still has a lot of room to grow because it is on sales is almost reaching Canada, but we're talking about 3 times of population. So sooner or later, it's gonna make it happen.
That's what I was gonna say. While Adam was giving the Mexico numbers on the side to see how that was comparing, because we know Canada has a limited ceiling because of the limited population. And it seemed to me that those numbers were already kind of starting to sound close to what we were seeing in Canada, and there's so much more room to grow.
Exactly, because strategically, Canada could be 10% of what you're doing in US. So talking about 7-figure brands, they do 10% in Canada, and they're making between 5 and 8 in Mexico right now. But it's a fastest growing market, and they're having a lot of children. I mean, they're having a lot of newborns, and sooner or later it's gonna go up to 150 million. They're gonna be online people. I mean, the newer generation are the easiest to adopt. So we see that's why I mean, we love Latin America, but now it's strategically interesting, even because the cost per click is super cheap, like 70% less than in US. So what big brands are understanding, what we call big brands is 7-figure plus, that are putting a feed into Mexico right now. First, you gain your position kind of easy because there are not a lot of competitors. Many of the sellers are remote sellers. Let's get this clear. Remote sellers are when you have inventory in US, then Amazon allows you to show or to show your product in Mexico, but you're not in the first page. When the Mexican people start to scroll down, there are no more offers from Mexico, then it start pulling from US. But
Just taught me something. Like, I think I know a lot about Amazon. I did not know that those North American remote fulfillment offers were deprioritized. So
of course, yeah.
FBA in stock in Mexico will have priority in terms of search results even.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And cost and time of delivery. Because if you're doing remote fulfillment, the customer needs to purchase an extra for importing. As a US seller, you need to pay an extra for the shipping to to Mexico. But also, it's not 2-day delivery, it's like 5 or 7 business day delivery. So it's just a taste of what Mexico can do. But when they switch from remote fulfillment to actually Mexico FBA, they do by 5 or by 7x the amount of sales that they're doing remotely.
And I may be jumping ahead here, so let me know. And we can table this until later, but a common question that we get from our audience is the right strategy, and maybe it varies by brand, to start with that remote fulfillment just to get a taste of whether there's an interest, or do you go all in?
It depends on the niche and the category, because things that must go FBA that you're not going to be able to get across the border, and you're not going to be able to even turn on remote fulfillment, liquids, powders, anything in pharmaceutical forms. So there's the whole supplement niche. I mean, that's there. Any toys for children under 36 months, anything that's meant to be ingested by humans or animals. So there's another, anything, ingestible, medical devices as well. You're not going to be able to turn that on. So right there, I mean, gosh, how many niches and categories, and how large of a market right there in Amazon alone, US, is that like you can't even turn it on. They won't even let you. So right there
on that before you, because I'm sure you have more to say on that. Because we've definitely run into that, whether it's Canada or Mexico, where we can't turn on the remote fulfillment. And so a lot of times I think people think, well, if I can't turn on the remote fulfillment, that means I'm not going to be able to import it into that country or export it out of this country. And so that's not the reality. It's just there are other things that need to be done that can't be handled within Amazon remote fulfillment that you'd need to do on a customs level to get it into Mexico.
Yeah. So that I'm going to take us all back 2 steps. And so that'd be like step 3. Step 1 is reach out to Freddie and myself. We'll do the market research for you for Amazon Mexico and Mercado Libre to let you know what search volumes look like on those 2 markets, and say, okay, is there actually a market and an opportunity there? Because even though you might be selling the product really well in the US, or my supplement is fantastic, I mean, there's certain supplements in Mexico that might not go as well. I mean, just right off the tip of my tongue, for example, turmeric. Turmeric is very common in the Mexican culture. A lot of people take it with teas when they don't feel well. They get it in a lot of supermarkets. They get it in the farmers markets. It's very common. So maybe they're not going to be thinking about taking it into a pill form because they drink it more of a tea here. And then, so with their alone, do the market research. Step 2, market research shows, okay, there's a market there. There's a sufficient amount of search volume for both markets. And you don't have to launch with both markets at the beginning. You can start with Amazon, bring things down, take advantage of your reviews, your global reviews, and so forth. But then step 2 is Amazon and us, we're going to recommend you and introduce you to Amazon's vetted partners. Amazon's vetted partners are going to help out looking at your product, looking at the import code, what's going to be needed labeling wise, what's going to be needed to get it into the country. And with that, the main step is just do your paperwork really quick and set up your Mexico LLC, set up your entity and get your tax ID. It's called the RFC. You get that, you put it into Seller Central. That usually takes 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks max. Once you get that into Seller Central, then you can create your first shipment, FBA, to ship it down into Mexico. So market research, set up your entity, see what you need labeling wise. And these 2 vetted partners, this 4 to 6 weeks while your paperwork is getting created in Mexico, you can also, for supplements and for other things, you can go ahead and you can contact the Mexico FDA, which is called COFEPRIS, and you can start submitting the paperwork there, which usually takes about 30 days. And from there, you can start to say, okay, this is the label we need. I can bring this to Mexico. I can sell this here. So you're in this 4 to 6 weeks, you're getting a lot done to get it in.
2 follow-up questions on that real quick. So we did have a Q&A come in that aligns kind of with this about labeling or package requirements. So less about like the FDA and what you need to have in terms of compliance, but specifically, I saw Freddie answered it in the chat, but just for anybody else who can't see that, language requirements. So like I know for people expanding into Canada, a lot of times, depending on where you are selling and how you're selling there is a requirement for that French language to be the same size or bigger as English language on all of the packaging. Is there any requirement like that for packaging in Mexico to have Spanish language?
Yeah, for example, easy example, supplements, foods, nutrition label, translated, just take the sticker, put it right on top of your packaging that you already sell in the US.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine. You don't need to have it in 2 languages. You don't have to redo the entire label. I constantly go to HEB. So any of you that have ever been to Texas, HEB supermarkets, they started in Texas. They have over 200 stores in Mexico. I buy some supplements there from time to time, some supplement powders and so forth. There, they simply just slap the nutrition facts label on top of the other one. You don't have to do a whole new packaging.
Okay.
However, it doesn't hurt to also, have packaging as well in both languages. It's only going to help. It's not going to hurt. So
yeah, absolutely. And then the other follow-up question I have is there was a lot of different compliance things and things you're doing in that first 4 weeks. And so I think, a big question probably coming from the audience would be, how much are you guys or how much are those Amazon partners able to help? And it sounds like, those Amazon partners are going to be the bigger piece of the help because they're the experts in that area, but there is some help with doing some of those things. Sellers are not just on their own, come down here and figure out all this stuff.
No. Go, Freddie, you want to add in on this one or you want me to take it?
No, I was going to say that we have done this critical path several times. So we are helping brands in a turnkey solution. What we do is actually we generate the sales. We understand Amazon, we understand the culture, we can do the keywords in Spanish and translate it, be able to generate the sales. But in order to generate the sales, the product needs to be in the country. It needs to be properly created, the company in Mexico and stuff. So that's why we approach to Amazon and their partners in order to provide a turnkey solution. So we are able to pull the process and run through all of it with the brand, so they are not alone. We are helping them like soft landing into Mexico, so we can be able to start selling the products in Mexico. Again, first Amazon Mexico, then Mercado Libre Mexico, which is something that we're gonna discuss what's Mercado Libre, and then we have Amazon Brazil and opening Colombia soon.
And also to add one more thing is the combination of our services along with Amazon vetted partners is you have somebody there for every piece to assist you with getting into Amazon. Freddie and I will take care of the Mercado Libre Amazon piece, translations, and localizations. Spanish is just like English, depending on the different countries that you speak it, different people use it differently. So we can help you out with getting into Mexico. And then the Amazon vetted partners, they're going to help you out with those compliance pieces. They're also going to help you find and do several quotes also with logistics. So these two Amazon vetted partners that we've been working with so far is help you get that RFC established, help you get your paperwork in order, help you make sure that you can sell your products in Mexico. And then also on top of that, in Mexico, taxes are filed monthly. So both of these services also help out with those monthly filings, which is very, very helpful as well. So then that way you're not like walking into a situation. You're like, okay, what do I do? This, that. This is just giving me more work. No, it's all going to be right there for you to help you out every step of the way. Main thing for the sellers today is just get your stuff in and get inventory, and then the rest you got teams to assist you every part of the way. That's the biggest thing.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. And I won't promise not to ask about that again, just as people are dropping in and dropping out, as they're hearing all of these things they are required to do. I just want to continue to reiterate and clarify that the beauty of this partnership, the beauty of the Amazon partnership is there is help along the way. Like you said, that turnkey solution. So if someone's interested and their brand is a fit, like that's the barrier, is figuring out whether your brand is a fit. After that, there's a proven process for this.
Right. And if we have to tell you which is the fit, it's probably any 6 or 7 figure seller from US. I mean, if you're doing 7 figures in US, it's worth trying testing Mexico waters. For 2 reasons. One is Amazon. We are having a lot of support from Amazon right now. Amazon is interested in landing big brands into Mexico. So not only we have an Amazon rep ready to support us, but she's able to get us some little advantages versus competitors. So it's a nice thing to do. And also, as I mentioned, there are not many competitors. Everyone in Mexico is not even translating the images. I mean, everything is in English, like if they don't care. So if we do just that extra mile, we run the PPC, we run the keywords, we run the PPC, we do the things right, you're gonna be able to dominate the category, and also growing around 30 and 40% year over year. That just alone is gonna take you itself to between 10 and 15% in a couple of years of what it's doing in US, without having to stress just sending inventory. Then what we mentioned to carry on, for the rest of Latin America. But I feel it's a good time because it's like Amazon on 2015, where you could rank any product kind of easy because there were not huge competitors and there are a lot of buyers.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the PPC specifically, and I don't know, Adam, if you have anything else real quick, and then we maybe pivot to Mercado Libre because we're a little bit past
Sure.
the halfway point. But we were having a conversation with a potential client this morning about PPC in Saudi Arabia and just talking about really what the potential is in that market because of, you know, the lack of competition in advertising and how far our budget will go. So you mentioned PPC, Freddie, as, you know, one of those things that if you're just putting in that little bit of extra effort in doing it, the great return you can get on that. How is the landscape for advertising in Mexico? What's, you know, what's the opportunity there? I'm imagining much greater than the US.
Sure. And yeah, I'll answer that is when we've been looking at cost per clicks, we've been seeing things about 70% cheaper on average cost per click compared to the States. So right there, if you're saying, oh, I'm going to get hit with a tariff or I'm going to hit with this going into Mexico where I have to set up my entity. Well, right there, after you get in and set up, cost per click is going to be great. Freddie and I have not seen that outside traffic is even necessary down here because there's such a lack of competition at the moment. I mean, we go in and so many people have turned on for remote fulfillment with NARF and they're like, oh, I get some sales there already. Well, getting into FBA right there, you're going to jump those competitors already. So you're going to be, maybe if you don't have as many reviews or so forth, you're going to be able to jump in just by being FBA. So cost per click is going to be much cheaper and that's going to be really cost savings. Now, another thing I wanted to add in is we have a third partner in the game right now that is also free. And a lot of people in the States or Europe, they have to pay for Amazon to help them out, you know, with SaaS partners or account managers or so forth. Right now, Mexico is so prioritized by Amazon that get into the Latin American expansion team, it's free. It's free to join. So we have an account manager to assist us every part of the way, to help us out. You know, hey, I don't want to be to this fulfillment center. I want to be here, the northernmost, because I want to go from Laredo there to Monterrey and get right in. They can help you out with stuff like that. And these account managers can also help you out with deals and promotions. Another thing with deals and promotions is that if you could tell me in the US that you're going to give me like 2 or 3 more large sales days, similar to Black Friday or better, come to Mexico. Every spring, they have the fire sales, which is really good. They also have in the fall, Buen Fin, which is really, really helpful. So you have all of these extra events that the account managers can help you out with. Freddie?
Yeah, I was going to say, Freddie is raising his hand so politely. If anybody's watched any of my webinars before, I usually just talk over people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized he was going to another direction. Well, talking about Adam, what he was mentioning about logistics, we haven't mentioned that even fulfillment on Mexico is cheaper than in US. I mean, Amazon fees on Mexico are lower than in US for the handling. Okay,
And has
but coming
that
back,
been pretty consistent? Or have we already kind of started to see those rise year over year in Mexico as well?
warehousing and labor work is cheaper, so they translated to the fees, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Coming back to PPC, what we see is, as Adam mentioned, is 70% cheaper. But not only that, it's like more kind of a mature because we only see sponsored product campaigns, like nothing about sponsored brands, sponsored display, defensive, strategies that we run on US, especially on competitive categories. There is just like the basics, like some sponsored product to the main keywords, and that's it. But I understand it could be like just another channel for someone that is in US based and looking at the big numbers. But for us, it's the whole thing. So we can really dig in.
All right, awesome. So we're about at the last 15 minutes here. I want to make sure we talk about Mercado Libre because so many people specifically, mentioned that they know a little bit, but really don't know a lot and aren't selling there yet. And I know that's probably a big draw for people joining us. So you guys are the experts, but if I could set some parameters, let's give a general overview about even what it is, what the opportunity is, kind of general about Mercado Libre, and then any specifics about that expansion beyond Amazon in Latin America.
I'm gonna start talking about it. Feel free to ask me whatever you want because it's so vast. It's like Amazon. We could talk for hours. Mercado Libre is a company. It's actually an Argentine unicorn that it was kind of start being like eBay and then start pivoting to be more like Amazon in customer service and stuff. So right now it's kind of a copy of Amazon because you have it has FBA similar to FBA. It's called Full. So you have Amazon warehouses where you can store your goods and they ship it from there. You have lightning deals. You have PPC, some kind of PPC. Super similar. And the crazy part is they are hosted on Amazon AWS. So Amazon keeps scrapping the offers to see what products are in there. They also used to have their own private labels. They sold it. They realized it's not fair, so they sold the brands. And right now is all three party sellers. It's super powerful. In the whole Latin America, Mercado Libre dominates the e-commerce market, except in Mexico, where it's 50-50, pretty much, where we could say Amazon may have the bigger spending power. I mean, the people willing to have a higher ticket price may go to Amazon, especially for technology and stuff. And Mercado Libre is kind of more the everyday stuff. But it's still as big as Amazon in Mexico. The nice, or what I like about the fight that is having Amazon and Mercado Libre is like a fair fight, because at the end of the day, everyone is both companies are providing the best service they can in order to get the lead and get the customer engaged. So they're offering a lot of things like free memberships, of course, free return, great customer service. So I think it's a win-win for even the audience that are using it.
Okay, so a couple questions. One, I think we definitely want to talk about a little bit, like, how do the fees compare to Amazon? What are the logistics for a seller versus, on Mercado Libre versus Amazon, the returns and all of that? What do they need to be prepared for? And then the other thing is, I was going to ask, you already kind of given some insight into this, but like, what's that incentive, or what's the reason for someone to expand beyond Amazon? It sounds like in Mexico specifically, half the market is on a different platform. You can get more sales just from being on both, but then beyond Mexico, what are the markets places, or what are the countries where Mercado Libre services, and what's the opportunity in those areas? And these are just kind of general questions that I'm having as you're talking. So that's a lot to unpack, but those are kind of some of the general areas I think our audience is generally going to ask about.
Right. So once being on Amazon Mexico, as you mentioned, having the inventory already in the country, you just by switching some goods from one warehouse to another, you're already on another marketplace. It's like selling on Walmart by being in US. It's pretty much the same. They do the fulfillment, they do all the rest, and you're just there. What is it? It's like a no-brainer after you're already in Mexico. And then once you're already on Mercado Libre, Mercado Libre has a CBT, which is cross-border traders. What they suggest you and they help you out in order to, okay, do you wanna expand to Brazil, Argentina, and Chile? They're the big Mercado Libre's marketplaces where it's dominating. I'm talking about like 80% of the sales are being powered by them. So it's just a matter of being helped in order to transfer the units from Mexico to the other countries, and also being helped by their partners for the legal stuff. Okay, Adam.
And with that being said, too, you get access to 18 countries. So once you're able to get up, running, live, you're able to use Mercado Libre's version of cross-border fulfillment. They have large warehouses in certain countries to get you to all 18 countries that Mercado Libre operates in. So from there, you're able to really expand all of Latin America. Because Amazon's kind of taken biggest markets from the time and chipping away little by little. Freddie had mentioned earlier, Colombia will be coming down the line as well. But Mercado Libre is already in 18 countries, because when I first got here, Mercado Libre, like Freddie had said, was growing. They just kept investing and growing. And I don't know, to be honest with you, I mean, it seemed like Amazon was kind of like slow, not enough. And then finally the pandemic hit, and then Amazon is almost like woke up, and then now both are really getting there 50-50 with market share. I mean, Amazon just this past year, I think, is up to like 53% of that, and then Mercado Libre is right there as well. So it's right there. It's a lot of expansion pretty quickly, and great thing about Latin America, one language for all of it. And I mean, because I've expanded 2 brands into Europe, and with there we had to deal with at least 5 languages. Sometimes more if you have to deal with things in Spain with Catalan or other markets as well. So this way, just one more language, and you're able to hit it all up with the different countries, which is really nice.
You said something that made me think, and now I want to remember my train of thought, which happens to me far too often. With all of those, I think you said 18 different countries.
Yes, 18. Mm-hmm.
Getting into Mexico, we have all this support. Getting into those other countries, what are the legal compliance paper, like what's all that stuff like for working with Mercado Libre and all those other places? That's a little bit trickier? Do we need to be prepared for a ramp up time for that as well?
Yes, because it's 18 different countries,
Yeah.
So I mean, they're pretty consistent for the most part. Freddie, I'll let you take it from here.
It's difficult, Latin America stuff. So once here in Mexico, it's easier for moving or switching into the rest of Latin America, but we still need some support from Mercado Libre in order to how to import, which is going to be the custom fees. The good news is, just like Amazon, we have some kind of helium-10, so we can see the amount of sales and if it's really worth it. And then talking to Mercado Libre partners, because we are an agency linked to Mercado Libre, we are a partner also Mercado Libre. They can help us out with how much it costs to bring inventory to the country and which are the legal stuff that is needed. In sometimes, I mean, even though Mercado Libre is in 18 countries, they don't store in 18 countries. They may store in 5 countries, for example, and they do like remote fulfillment to other countries regarding the agreement, like the import agreement between a country and another one. For example, Argentina and Uruguay, they're kind of brothers, so you could fulfill from one to the other without fees. So the rest of Latin America, I will suggest we can run the numbers, see where there's opportunity. Once we target an opportunity, then we manage how to get into there, and which is going to be the P&L for the product being there. It's pretty much what we're doing for Mexico, but it's for the rest of Latin America. The positive thing is no one is doing it because it's kind of complex, and they don't want to spend so much time on it, so they prefer to launch another product in US that is more profitable right now. But having the correct help from us, they're gonna be able to just deliver the project, and we carry on with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like kind of to summarize, everything we've discussed up to this point, the Mexico piece can be pretty easy, and
Yeah.
just get that started. And once you get that started, get that rolling, you get your inventory down there, you're building all those pieces for that future larger expansion. And if you have Mexico running, that's that extra 5 to potentially 10% of your US business that you're now generating in a separate market. And that's giving you the time and maybe some more budget then to look at expanding in those other markets once you already have things running in Mexico. So there's a strategic path to follow, and it all starts with opening up those doors in Mexico.
Exactly.
Well, awesome. We only have about 5 minutes left, so I want to give you both an opportunity. Any last thoughts you want to share? And just before you do that, so I can cue this up for everybody else, we're going to go ahead and throw contact information for Freddie and Adam in the chat, so that if you're interested in taking advantage of that audit, we can make sure to get you in touch. But also, if you're an AO2 client, if you are an AO2 follower, we'll share, we'll follow up with emails as we always do. You can always talk to your account manager. So there are multiple different ways to connect and take advantage of that. But that's an opportunity for everyone who's joined us here today, or even anyone who is watching us on the repeat. We'll make sure on YouTube we have that information in the description as well, so you can know how to reach out to us, connect, and get that audit running for you. So that's been shared. Want to make sure everybody knows that. And then, yeah, Freddie, Adam, I'll throw it over to each of you. Whatever last thoughts, anything else you want to share. We have 4 more minutes, and I like to try and wrap up on time to keep everyone's schedules. And if there are any questions or anything we haven't been able to answer, we get that all downloaded post-webinar, and we will make sure to follow up directly by email.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having us. Thank you for sharing the opportunity of launching into Latin America. We love what we do. We really do. And don't be afraid. I mean, for you that you're listening, we're able to provide you a free audit or free check of the opportunity that your brand has in Mexico. And we're going to be super honest and clear. If the opportunity is there, you feel free to take it with us or without us. And if it's not there, we stay in touch. And whenever we see the opportunity, we can come back to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much for having us. Thanks for listening. And also, too, for those that couldn't make it today, thank you so much for listening on the replay. For any of those that are listening today or on the replay, I will be in Las Vegas for a full week, that last week of March for the Prosper Show week. I'll be there from Sunday through Sunday. I'd be happy to sit down, have a coffee, whatever you'd like, and we can talk about your brand, see fits, and so forth. So if you'd like something in person, feel free to let me know, and I'd be happy to book some time together, and we can sit down and talk shop.
Excellent call out. AO2 will be at the show as well. We will have a booth 531. So if you are wandering around, if you don't have Adam's contact information handy and you find yourself at the show without that connection, stop by our booth. That gives you a central point of reference. Come by and see us, and then we can make sure to get you connected live and in person as well. So yeah, thank you for that. And I think we're ready to wrap things up. So thank you both, Freddie and Adam. We really appreciate your expertise. Thank you for teaching me some new things. It's not every day I learn something new about Amazon, even though something changes on Amazon every day. I tend to stay pretty ahead of the curve, and I love it when I can learn something really unique and new. So thank you for that. To everyone watching, thank you for joining us for another webinar. We do these once a month. We'll have details coming out very soon on our March webinar. And then, as Adam mentioned, Prosper, we always do our Prosper recap following that show. So early April, we'll have a Prosper recap coming to you as well. And then we're going to drop off here in just a minute, but just so you know, we will have our tech person who's running in the background. You can't see her, but she is there. She'll keep this up for just a minute to make sure you have time to grab the contact information out of the chat, because that will disappear when we close this. So you'll have another minute or two once you see me, Freddie, and Adam drop off to grab that information. And then we will see you next month. So thanks, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.